I was in the first band I was in was Brinsley Schwartz, and we had a sort of disastrous beginning to our career, and we had a management who they wanted to hype us up into the charts, so it's a success, and it's impossible to do it. I mean, look at X Factor. Do you have X Factor here? A TV show, talent show, yeah.
In fact, they did a cover of Cruel to Be Kind in that show.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Excellent. Great choice. When I started out in the music business, I left home and I left my job. I had a little job, to be a musician. It was in 1968, and there wasn't really a music business back then. It was just show business, and in fact, the first band I was in, our agent, the guy who gets you your jobs, your work, he used to have comedians and people with dogs and clowns and things like that. We were just his pop group, that he had. There wasn't really music business like there is now. This multi-billion-dollar industry. I never thought for 1 minute that I'd be doing it at my age now. At my age, so I'm 61 now. It was unheard of, that anybody would be playing rock and roll, in their 60s. Absolutely out of the question. Now there's loads of us, and even in their 70s. And I don't know how old Leonard Cohen is. I don't know if you call him a rock and roll guy, but he's knocking 80 or something. Funnily enough, when I was young, I always kind of wanted to be an old guy. I liked old guys' music. I always liked blues and country and western and songs about grown-up stuff, as I saw it. Songs about having your heart broken and being lonely and all these things which come along after life has kicked you a bit. But I was a kid and life hadn't really kicked me around at all. But I loved that kind of music. And so as I got older, I found that I kind of grew into the music in a way. The kind of stuff that I do is, I suppose it's kind of grown up music. It's music for grown ups. It's not trying to be, I'm not like an old guy trying to talk to kids. Whereas, you seem like you're quite a bit younger than I am, but I'm really pleased that you've heard my records, and also I see at my shows a lot of young people as well as people of my age. That is about as great as it gets when that happens, folks. Even though I do on purpose try and write lyrics which are simple to understand but are literate, and not so what am I trying to say? Because I like a real stupid lyric as well. I love wop bop a loo bop a lot. What's better than that? But if you are trying to explain something, like as I say about being lonely or hurt by love or the lack of love, then try and explain it really clearly, really clearly. Is what I try and do, so when I see that there are younger people at my shows who get it, who understand what I'm talking about, that's about as fantastic as it gets. So I work very, very hard. When I get an idea for a song, I'll sort of write it fairly quickly, and then this process will take place where I subtract. So it's nearly always seems to be taking stuff out, and I'll think about it when I'm driving my car. I think about it when I'm doing my shopping in the supermarket. You know, that's a great thing about being a songwriter. You can do it all the time. You know, you don't need an office or anything. And eventually, I'll get it so that I think I'll have removed all the elements, I think, of myself, of my own, the little tricks and things that I do. I think it's probably like that if you're a writer, actually, writing a book. You know, you want to read something on the page so that you can't see any element of yourself. You want to get it so you think that you're reading somebody else's work and really enjoying it, like you do somebody else's book, you know. And that's what I do. I work away at my songs until I think I've written a cover song. I think it's somebody else's song. And when that happens, that's when I get happy. You know, I think, man, this is really good. And the reverse thing happens with when I hear a cover song, somebody else's song that I want to do. I'll work away at it until I think that I've written it in a funny way. I mean, I know I haven't, but I'll do it until I think it's my song. And then it's easy. I can play it put it in my set, you know, and it doesn't feel like, right, hold on everyone, here comes the cover. You know, I'm going to do a cover song now. I'll have forgotten that it's somebody else's song. I think it's much more difficult for young musicians now than it was when I went into the business, which is a paradox really, because there's music television, you know, there's thousands of TV channels and radio stations, whereas when I went into it there was 2, you know, and competition was very fierce. But I used to know everybody's record. You know, it didn't matter if it was you know, Frank Sinatra or, you know, not rock and roll music. You know, I used to know what everybody's record. Engelbert Humperdinck, I knew what his new record sounded like, as well as the Rolling Stones, and because the record business was so small, I knew everyone's record. Whereas now, there's branches of the music business that I don't know anything about at all. Like, for instance, rap. I don't know anything about rap music or hip hop, you know, or anything like that. Dance music. I know nothing about it. It might as well be the shoe business or makeup, you know, or kitchen cleaning products business. You know, I know nothing about it at all. Because it's all so streamed. These industries go alongside each other, you know. I've had 2 or 3 chances to sort of make it really big, and the first time was with the Brinsley Schwartz when we were, you know, had this silly thing going to New York, and it was a disaster, and that. It was horrible at the time because I was so stupid. I was young and really stupid, and I actually thought it could work. So, and as I say, at the time it was horrible, but I've had occasion to fall on my knees and give thanks that happened to me so early on, because it made me keep the music business away, you know. Well, unless you're one of those people like Elton John, you know, or Cher, or Cliff Richard, you know, one of those people who they were born to be pop stars, you know, and the years roll on. And so I don't know anyone who's got an Elton John record, you know, or there's certainly not one in the last 20 years. I don't know anyone. But he sells millions, or someone must buy him. Or Cher. Who buys a Cher record? I don't know. But they, on and on through the years, they go. Well, I'm not one of those people, and most people aren't. You've got 5 years maybe, you know, and then you've had it. So I've taken great care to steer a path where I'm sort of known. People kind of know who I am, you know. And when I've got a record out or something, I'll do an interview. I mean, this is unusual for me to do, to just come and sit here and talk to you, because I'll only really do interviews and things when I'm I'll be honest, trying to sell my records to the public, you know, and then I'll come and say, here I am, you know, but the rest of the time I keep quiet and stay out of the way. And it's, I remember my dear old mother used to say to me, "Why aren't you better known? You know, you're really quite good. You know, you should be, you should be on the television all the time." And I used to try and explain to her, "Look, Mum, this is really, I've done a brilliant job here. You know, keeping myself off the television, out of the newspapers. You know, I've done a really great job. You know, you should be patting me on the back and saying, 'Well done, my boy.'"
House for sale, I'm moving out, I'm moving on, this bird has flown. House for sale, I'll tell you where to redirect my mail. House for sale, take a look inside, this is where love once did reside, but now it's gone, and that's the reason I'll be traveling on. Well, the roof's giving in to the weather, and the windows rattle and moan. Paint is peeling, cracks in the ceiling, whatever's happened to my happy home. House for sale, I've had enough, I'll send a van to get my stuff. House for sale, I'm leaving like I'm getting out of jail. The stairs are alarmingly shaky, and the carpet threadbare and worn. Fence needs mending, garden needs tending, how soon it's become overgrown. Whoa, house for sale, I've had enough, I'm gonna send a van to pick up my stuff. House for sale, I'm leaving like I'm getting out of jail. I'm leaving like I'm getting out of jail. House for sale, I'm talking to you, because with time, care, cash, peace, love and understanding, it could be as good as new. House for sale, house for sale.